issues that are
deal
presented.
with the issues at hand. And when
For
people can see
sure.
that you're that honest about them and about their marriage and wanting it to work,
Right.
then, you know, they don't mind you being a little forward,
Exactly.
as long as they know
Exactly.
you're in their corner.
Well, I think one of the most difficult things, and I've experienced this professionally, is getting couples and clients to buy in, even when there are no cameras, like getting them to invest in it and trust in the process, even though they've seen it on TV, but getting people to trust in the process for themselves. How do you get the buy-in in front of the world stage?
Yeah, yeah. You know, counseling is still somewhat of a taboo in a lot of communities, especially in the Black
Yeah.
community. You know, it's still somewhat of a taboo, and so the whole buying in thing is a little difficult for some more than others.
Right.
Again, it comes down to, you know, people. What I found is that people don't buy into counseling as much as they buy into you.
Oh,
Yeah.
great,
You
great.
know,
Yes, yes.
uh, so many times I've talked with so many outside of TV. Like you know, my wife and I will counsel couples,
Okay.
and we've heard it so many times. The wives will say, "Well, my husband, he's not going to work. He's not going to talk. He doesn't want. I had to drag him. He's not going to talk."
Right.
I promise you, once they see that and look, dude, I'm here for you. You know, you ain't got to
Exactly.
like it, you ain't got to love it, you ain't got to nothing, okay? But you want your marriage? Do you want your relationship to work? If you do, let's talk about this. If not, look, I can go, because my wife gives them the 411 every session. Says, look, don't waste our time, don't waste your own time, don't waste your money. We're here for you. Okay.
Absolutely.
And the guys always come around, and they're always over talking their wives, you know, when they see that, you
Yes.
know, it's like, oh, okay, I could talk to this dude. I could talk to him, or I could talk to her. Yeah.
And I want to piggyback on that and say that also I've had that experience with men. I've worked, co-facilitated with men's therapy groups, and I've worked with women's groups. And I can speak to the difference in the nature of the interaction with men and versus women, not in a sort of a contentious versus, but men, once they buy in and they trust you, they become very chatty and they are open, they're expressive. And I have come to learn at actually how observant they actually are, and how we buy into the fallacy that they're not paying attention. But men pick up on details.
Yes. Men pick up on details, and we are much more emotional and emotive
Yes,
than we are given credit for.
absolutely.
Men express their emotions differently. A lot of times it's physical. A lot of times it's like with little children, right? Like
Mhm.
kids, just little girls, they're talking and they're playing and they're,
Yeah,
oh, you know, doing the little tea parties. They would do. Guys, you know, we're just like, we're just making noises
yes,
and grunts, you know,
yeah,
because men communicate differently. We
absolutely.
communicate more so. It's much of a gut thing. You know, we'll pay attention, we'll listen. And I do a lot of men's groups where I'll get together with a group of guys and we'll just talk about really deep stuff, and guys will just open up and bare their souls and just,
Yes,
and when they talk, all the other fellas are like, dude, you don't even have to say nothing, we get it. And I'm talking about
yes.
race. I'm talking about all races, white, black, whatever. Everybody's like, yeah,
Mhm.
guys just need a safe environment.
I even think that's to the degree that women, that speaks to sort of the gender differences, because I'm noticing that women would be more willing to take the risk to feel unsafe just to be able to be expressive. But
Yeah.
that's not the exchange that men are willing to take.
Yeah.
They will also emote similarly, and be vulnerable and transparent, but they're going to scan the environment. They're
They're
going
going
to
to
make
scan.
sure the environment is clear.
They're going to scan. And the thing is that, and look, this is not going to be, oh God, this is not going to be very popular,
No,
Doctor.
talk about it. I like the
Look,
unpopular opinion.
look, men right now, I know that we're in an environment now where men feel almost muted.
Still.
Still, yes, we feel
Okay.
muted. It's like
Mm-hmm.
look, anybody on the show will know. I mean, I've had a couple critics. I don't pay attention to critics, but
Right.
I've had some critics. But everybody on the show, I support Black women. I love them. I'm married to an incredibly strong one. I support them. You mess with a Black woman on the show, I'm gonna get up in you, right?
Oh, okay.
We're not gonna do that. Or you mess with a woman, period, Black woman or white woman. Mess with women, period. I'm gonna get up in you. Okay.
Sure.
But here's the thing. That being said, I believe that men are almost afraid to express how they truly feel about what's happening societally, you know, in relationships and how men and women relate. It's almost like men are now, we're being, these patriarchal tags that,
right.
It's a very difficult thing. I'm even trying to mince my words as I'm talking about it, because you can very easily be seen as a chauvinist or seen as a misogynist or what have you, but it's men feel muted, and a lot of times their emotions just go without being heard unless they're talking to each other, and guys don't really do that a lot. So
well, I think that's really powerful. So what, in terms of, I have experience where personally myself, I've seen the contention and the difference in the communication. And I am a culprit. I'm both victim and perpetrator.
Come on now, come on.
And that's most people, you know what I mean? I mean, we are both victim and perpetrator, because everybody's somebody's victim, right? And I think it takes a lot of humility to say that. So how do we begin the dialogue or the compassion to create that expansiveness around compassion by recognizing, yes, you're a perpetrator, but also you're a victim. And sometimes they seem to be at odds with one another. And sometimes people find it very difficult to view a person as both a victim and a perpetrator. How do you kind of manage that?
Wow, girl, you throwing them at me. Doc, look, here's man, but this is it's so deep, and you're really coming. You're just touching on so many great points. Thank you for saying that you are a victim and a perpetrator.
Yes, I am.
Saying that, I think that it begins with acknowledgement,
right?
And when we can acknowledge that we're victims, in that we have received, but we're perpetrators in that sometimes we become the things that we hate.
Absolutely, yes, we do. We do.
And that's the tough thing, here. I'm hoping that we can get to a point in our relationships where we are just completely free to be open and honest and respect one another and understand that even though we have different roles, we have equal value. And I believe when we get to that point, we can have honest communications. I think that quite often, we don't really value one another and realize that people have the same value, even though we have different roles and different functions in this world.
Sure.
It's okay to have different functions. I am a man, and I believe in equality.
Right.
But let's just get real with it. Can we get real?
Yes.
The fact of the matter is, as a man, there are some things that I can do just physiologically that maybe a woman cannot.
And I like that, because I am not going to take out the trash. I'm not picking up my gun. I don't want to know the day, none of that. I don't know even when to get the car changed. When I hear noises from my car, I turn up the radio, because I honestly believe that car maintenance is a man's job.
Right. Yeah, and that's okay, because men don't mind it.
Okay.
Men don't mind it. We don't mind it. And look, men do not mind doing stuff. Men do not mind it when their wives want them to do stuff. I'm sorry, men. If you guys are on here, please shout out, and tell me if I'm lying. Men don't mind if they're women, because it helps us to feel like a man. Right. We know that our women can depend on us. What we don't want is we don't want to be beaten into submission.
Right.
When I tell women, whenever women come to me and say, you know what, I'm a boss lady, and I support boss women. That's all good. I married one. I'm a boss, but my wife understands that she's a boss, but she understands I'm not her employee.
One question that I have asked myself is, when I start to get out of pocket, so to speak, and I can access my alter ego, when she gets Sister Girl, her name is Shalonda. That's my name. Shalonda. When I'm like, wait a minute. That's Shalonda.
Shalonda? Okay.
That's my ghetto alter. So one question that I ask myself, is this helping or hurting my partner's sexual arousal?
Ah.
And that's real concrete. You know, sometimes we get so heady and abstract and with these theoretical discussions, but we just got to get down to the nuts and bolts. I'm like, am I helping the erection or am I hurting it? Like, what am I? And when you think of it in those terms, your behavior takes on a different quality.
Oof. Yeah. You girl. That's about it. That is about as straightforward as you can get.
Right.
You're gonna hear that again because I'm gonna use that. You're absolutely right. If women think about that, because from a man's perspective, I guess God will tell you.
Yeah.
You know, the way you're coming at me right now, the way you're talking to me right now,
right.
The way you're treating me right now, the way you're disrespecting me right now.
Sure.
No, I don't want sex. I ain't thinking about it. And there's a huge misnomer that men want sex all the time under circumstances. That is a lie.
Debunk that, man. Sure.
That is a lie.
It's a lie.
Men do not want sex all the time, anytime. And if they tell you that, they lying.
Yeah.
They lying. If a man feels disrespected, he don't want it.
He does. I agree with it, because I tell people, I was like, hey, listen, what's the biggest sex organ? And they're like, it's your brain.
It's your brain.
It's your brain. All arousal goes through the brain. And so, like, when you see that and you recognize that what you hear, what you're processing, the information you receive, what hits your spirit, what hits your cognitions, that's all related to arousal. And nothing is flowing anywhere if there's a blockage.
Come on, we're talking about sex, people. We're talking about sex, people.
And cognition, thought life is really related to sex. Okay. It's the direct path. A lot of people think they can kind of circumvent it, and it's all physical. It is at least 99.9% your thought life, the quality of your thoughts, the frequency of certain thoughts. It's very much a cognitive behavior.
Yeah. I couldn't agree more. You're absolutely on point. And I think that if people, men and women, let me flip that script. If men ask that question also, you know, when I'm disrespectfully to my woman, or when I'm treating her like a child, if I'm saying something to her that belittles her or that makes her feel devalued, does she look at me and say, "Ooh, I want him"? Absolutely not.
No, she's not. Right.
No, he is not that. He's not Mandingo. Right?
No,
it's not.
No, when I was working with a group of men, and I forgot, I think another colleague say, well, when does foreplay start? And he said, when your feet hit the floor in the morning.
Yep.
That's when it starts.
Absolutely.
Because there's the flirtation, it's the communication, excuse me, the vulnerability, the openness, the willingness to be present, to be involved, to be open, to be complimentary, to be sensitive. And all of that takes time.
It does. It
takes time.
Can let me ask you a question?
Sure.
Because I mean, I respect you. I respect your professionalism. Y'all better listen to this woman here, because you know what she's talking about.
Okay.
But here's the deal.
Okay.
You're a doctor. You're a clinician.
Yes.
In addition to that, though, you're a strong, accomplished woman.
Yes. Yes.
A strong, accomplished Black woman.
Correct.
Now, that being said, how do you present yourself, or how does a woman present herself? Because in a manner where a man feels as though I don't want to say he's not intimidated, but because look, we're living in a world of the strong Black woman. We're living in a world of the strong woman. We're living in the world of the Me Too movement. And we just had the passing about a month or so ago of Kevin Samuels. God bless him. God bless him. I don't criticize anybody. You know, look, he did his thing.
He did his thing.
You know, and he bowed out.
And
Well, God bless him. But he did bring up some very important issues
I think
about
so. I
women
agree.
and about men.
Right.
And what's interesting here is I'm curious, as if, coming from you, how does a woman present herself in a manner where she can find a man who might not? Is there a way that you can present yourself where a man will feel like you accept him, where a man
Well,
will feel like your power is not intimidating, or is that all
right.
him?
It I will say, and I'll be try to be very practical. It has been a long journey. It's not quick, it's not easy, and it's a very active process. It's a very conscious process.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that comes innately. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but it's a skill set. So you can acquire it. So if women are feeling like, hey, I don't know how to do it, it's a skill set that you can actually acquire. So what I do is in conversations with men, I don't allow them to reference my profession in the conversation. You know, I say in the early conversations, this is what I do for a living, but I was a whole entire person before I got my degree. I make the distinction between my professional self, my mother's self, and my personal self. And given that I'm giving you my personal self, that means you get the Shalonda when I'm feeling ghetto. You get little girl me when I need to be nurtured. You get cheerleader me when I'm supporting you. You get actually more of a multifaceted individual if you allow me space to be my personal self versus if I'm just doctor, it's a very specialized and specific means of how we're going to interact. So I try to let them know that the true benefit is actually being my personal self. And so
Mm-hmm.
they'll say, well, you a doctor, you should not. No. Let me correct you, sir. I have a degree in a specialized field for a certain amount of years. That
Yeah.
doesn't make me an expert on living, life, dying, and everything else. Okay. I'm no expert on living. And it comes with a lot of helping people to readjust their expectations because people think you got a doctorate in knowing everything. I said, I got a doctorate in a subject,
Exactly.
in one subject.
Exactly. Exactly.
So
No, I get it.
so you're wrong, sir. And sometimes people like the fact they take advantage, and so they think, well, I don't have to be empathic for her because she gets me because she's a psychologist, or I don't have to be just as attentive, or I don't really have to be as apologetic because she understands my true intention because she's in the field. So a lot of people also use the nurturing, the unconditional positive regard, the attention to the advantage when it suits them. So it's okay to be a doctor in my field when I'm warm and fuzzy and cuddly, right? But when I'm challenging and saying, "Hey, that's a thinking error," no, you're misinterpreting that. Let's talk about that. Then it's like, oh, you don't need a man. Wait, sir.
Right. Right.
Wait. you gotta take the bitter with the better here. You gotta get all this. You gotta get all this whole entire package. But
Right.
I do make it a point to be feminine. I do watch the way I dress. I do. I did start
Whoa.
out.
Help me out. What are you talking about?
Oh, I used to wear a lot of black pants, the black like dress slacks. Used to be very structured clothing, very structured, dark clothing.
Uh-huh.
But I was like, this is not getting me anybody. So as you can see, because the sister girl's in need of a husband too. And let's not play this game. So I have added color. I'm popping the lip more. I'm making sure I'm wearing, the lip is everything. Brighter colors, making sure I stay more feminine, wearing dresses, things that are frilly. I'm talking about floral prints.
And this
Even,
does not detract from your power.
oh no, no, no. I don't feel subtracted, diminished
This
at
does
all.
not this does not detract or subtract from who you are as a woman.
No,
And
no.
I think that is so I'm so excited that you said that because
Yeah,
I think that quite often the idea of femininity, the
yeah,
idea of being coy, being sexy, we almost equate that with being, diminutive, with
right.
being less than. You know, when in essence, no, it's not. It's a, but I'm gonna tell you, she knows how to turn that off.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yes. Yes,
Because
yes.
one thing a man doesn't want another alpha man.
No, it's a way to kill an erection. Anything with two hands is a monster.
Come on.
Anything with two hands is a monster. You know what I mean? So when women start to associate the leadership with protection and the association has taken on a very toxic association. But when women start to retrain themselves, and when there's leadership, there's protection. When there's leadership, there's vision. When there's leadership, there's direction. When there's leadership, there's authenticity. When there's leadership, I think women we have vilified the construct of leadership and sort of made it our own, which I think is an overcorrection. Right? Because there's certain masculine and male attributes that makes male leadership particularly relevant. Now, just because your style and what you bring as a man does not automatically in one swoop detract from my particular style of leadership as a woman. The two are not the same. They're not mutually exclusive.
Absolutely. And that's so powerful. I think that what you're saying is, it just makes so much sense. I mean, even I had to learn this, experientially as well as academically, that to lead as a man, first of all, I cannot allow myself to not be in my rightful position.
Right.
As a man, it's so, and even saying as a man, I know that there's so many social talking heads out there where people don't want women they don't want men to talk about their masculinity. They don't want men to
Right.
talk about their strength. They don't want men to talk about their leadership. Look, I have no problem with my wife leading at times. She can lead as much as she wants to because she's more equipped. She's very capable, okay? But she prefers me to lead.
Yes.
She prefers me to lead. And so I lead. But if there's a point where I cannot lead, she has no problem stepping into the role. And I think that when we finally get into relationships where we can understand that give and take, that yin, that kind of sway in a relationship, there's an ebb and tide between the male and female, then we can be ready, for relations.
Absolutely. I do want to ask, somebody in here said, how do you turn it off? Okay. This practical steps, because I love practical advice. Okay. So when you're home with your man, say yes every time he calls your name. Yes. If you saw, yes. Yes does wonders. I'm amazed at how often yes works. Because we're accustomed to saying no, and people are quicker to tell you no than yes. So we're not even attuned to listening to the word yes. So that in itself is disarming. Yes. How can I help you? Start with giving less directions around the house. We get in mind mode. We're like, clean the room, go to bed, brush your teeth. But if you're talking to your mate and every statement starts with a verb, that's not healthy. If you're talking, and this is for the women, if everything that comes out of your mouth starts with a verb, you're doing it wrong. Very practical. You can start by asking more questions. So replacing your directives with questions.
Wow.
I think that's more feminine. Even if you already know the answer, right? Just being comfortable with the fact that And I remember a supervisor challenged me this on internship. I was with a client, and I know that he was lying or hiding something, and he knew. And he said, "You don't have to tell him that you know. You could just know that he knows, and it never be said. So, and learn how to sit with what that feels like, So, hey, asking your mate, how may I help you? What can I do today to make something easier for you? Not the whole day, but pick a task.
Yeah.
Pick one of his least favorite texts. How can I help you? And take it old school. Can I take it old school?
Please. I am.
Listen. Massage your man's feet. Clip his toenails.
Dr. Lashonda, come on.
Clip his toenails. Clip his toenails. Babe, put your feet up here. I didn't see them dogs. You know what I'm saying?
Let me tell you something. What's so funny about what you said, because I'm looking at comments, and there are people, some people saying yes, 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 but other comments are like, yeah, but men ought to, yeah, but men ought to, yeah, but look, here's my thing. And they're right, men ought to, absolutely men ought to. But we cannot be responsible for other people. We can only be responsible for ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely.
And when I am serving my wife, when I am serving her, what cannot go through my mind is whether or not she's going to reciprocate that.
Right, because that messes up the whole flow.
It messes up the whole thing.
But
so I'm like, oh, yeah, well, I'll do this for you, but you got, no.
No, it ain't no quid pro quo. People ask me, and they're so caught up in partnership. I said, there's not near relationship on this planet that's straight 50-50. It's never going to happen.
You got to say that because that's, you, come on now.
50-50 doesn't exist. In the world of flawed people, sometimes you do 30. He's doing 70. Somebody's got 60. Somebody's got 40. Boom, tomorrow, 70-30. There is no 50-50.
There is no 50-50. There is not. And understanding that balance will save you so much stress in your life. The fact that it's okay if, as a man, I'm gonna speak to the guys, it's okay if you're carrying 70 and she's carrying 30. Yeah. It's okay. It's perfect. Okay. And it's okay, man, if you're carrying 10 and she's carrying 90, because throughout the span, the arc of any relationship, you're going to see that.
You're going to see that ebb and flow.
Yeah, it's going to be these constant shifts in who's carrying the load in the relationship. Mm-hmm. And that's how it should be. That's called healthy.
And and most importantly, people forget servanthood. You mentioned the word serving, which is totally a curse word. It's absolutely profane today in today's culture. Servanthood or serving. So just call it a slavery sort of situation. But true leadership is servanthood. So if you're worrying about your role, trust me, you are doing so by presenting yourself as one who's serving the needs of others. That's true leadership, is meeting the needs of the people you love. And your constituents. That's true leadership.
That's what it's all about. In fact, every successful person gets that. They get that in order for me to truly be successful, in order for me to truly be successful, I have to give. You look at the Bill Gates Foundation, look at all these other people who have amassed billions of dollars. They have a systematic giving structure.
Systematic giving, yes.
Where they systematically, first of all, they understand the process. They understand the principle that in order for me to receive, I can't have a closed fist. I have to have a hand. Okay, I have to receive as much as I give. So you're absolutely right. You're so right on that.
That speaks to the given it shall be given. That's just a principle. It's a natural governing law that cannot be broken. And people just sort of make it a Christian faith ideology, but give and it shall be given. It is true.
It's true.
And one more practical thing that I think people should do more often in terms of their femininity, for women in particular, initiate conversations around sex. Sometimes I think, Black women have the most polarizing view when it comes to sex. We are either prudish and use sex as a weapon to get what we want, and sort of as a currency, or then we're over-sexualized and objectified. And so there's no sort of middle ground where there's a healthy education and exploration and understanding of sexuality, sexual orientation, and how sex works in a marriage. Because that's all that kind of there is. You either grew up in the church, and maybe you were in a church where they talked about it like once every 2 years. I mean, that's my one criticism of the church. Everybody's doing it with the church, you can't get anybody in the church to talk about sex openly.
Yeah, but fun. That's a good one. Yeah.
It's like no one stumbled on sex. I mean, if you believe in the creation story, we didn't stumble on it. But It's important to talk about sex in a way that is also academic and spiritual and physical.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's a three-pronged approach to that.
Absolutely. And I think that along that same vein, as far as men are concerned, it's important for men, I'm talking to y'all, to understand that it's not about your performance. And I think a lot of times men are so focused on performing and being, the biggest and the baddest and I mean that the biggest, I mean, it just, the size thing that we get into, and and I got, I look, first of all, can we be just, you like practicality? I'm gonna give you practicality.
Oh, I do.
First of all, when men talk about, all the size and all that, first of all, at some point it becomes a murder weapon. So
yes.
So ain't nobody trying to do all that.
No.
Get out of that mentality. Get out of the programming that you have to perform. What women want, and you help me here. What women want is a partner, a sex partner.
Yes.
Not a sex performer.
Right.
She wants somebody who can partner with her. And you help each other achieve your complete fulfillment in this thing.
Each other, not just being performed on.
Exactly.
That's really a one-sided dynamic, and it really disrupts the intimacy and the physicality of everything. So let's recap. I say initiate sex and try to have sex as often as possible. A sexless marriages to me is the closest thing to death. I don't know how people are doing it, but you never catch me in one, okay?
Won't do it.
I won't do it. You won't take me alive.
It's not worth it.
It's not worth it. No.
I mean, a sexless marriage, it's ridiculous. And I think, and you want to, you've already said this. You want to understand that, that sex is more than just an act. Sex is I look at sex as the highest form of communication.
Sure.
When you look at what sexual intimacy is, it's the highest form of your communication. It's the most passionate form of communication. It's you. Yeah. I mean, you're at your peak level when you're in. It's called intercourse for a reason.
Right. You're literally entering into and being entered into somebody's physicality. You can't get any closer to.
There's no closer than that. Yes. Yes. And so understanding that, if that is not present in your relationship, then you're missing the crux of why you're together.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I really want to just reiterate that for women, there are things that you absolutely can do. Have more sex. Be more sexualized. Also,
you got to put that one. You want to define that. Be more sexualized.
Well, be flirty, be fun, be inquisitive, be complimentary, be more physically affectionate, initiated. Send dirty texts to your husband. If the only things that you guys are texting are to-do lists, oh my God, you're doing it wrong. Talk dirty to your man at the job. He should be a little distracted. He should be careening through traffic after work because he's got to get to the house because you done fired him up with the dirty talk.
Hey, look, girl, look, you preaching. We'll take up offering in a minute. But you're absolutely right. But those are the graces, the more genteel sort of acts that I believe that our current society is sort of has just almost done away with, because it's almost like,